I want to talk about authenticity and authenticity as it pertains to our work, our calling, our livelihood, what we do to earn money in this world and sustain ourselves. I'd like to talk just a little bit about my journey, and maybe that will help you gain some more insight into your own journey. I remember being 16 and applying for colleges, and I remember exactly where I was in my family's home that I stopped, and I've been thinking a lot about what I wanted to do, what I wanted to be, like what am I good at? And I remember having this really clear moment where I said to myself, I want to be a metaphysician. I was very into metaphysics at the time. I had read the book Be Here Now by Ram Dass, and it changed my life. And I was also hanging out with some people who just turned me on to some really interesting concepts, and I really dove deep into the theories of metaphysics and kind of like new agey type things. This is back in the mid 90s, so all very new to me at 16, and I didn't know where I would go to learn to be a metaphysician. It was just one of those like moments of insight, a spark. And I ended up at Florida State University studying business, and I had started out pre-med. In college, and after just a horrible experience with a medical doctor, really just horrible, I went back to school and changed my major. And I changed my major about 4 times after that. I think I knew I wanted to get into the healing arts. I knew that was available to me. I was so turned off by this medical doctor. I couldn't see myself as her. I couldn't see myself doing what she did to me. Whipping out a prescription pad, giving me 3 minutes of her time, not asking me any questions or touching me or having no compassion for me at all. And I could not see myself as that person. So I ended up in the College of Business and started a couple of businesses after school, after I graduated. And eventually, the calling is always there. You don't choose it. I think that's the bottom line. You don't choose your calling. Your calling chooses you. And so I went back to school a couple years after graduating, and I landed in a macrobiotic culinary program in Austin, Texas. And I spent 4 years there. I spent 4 years studying food, studying the way that the food heals the body, and conversely, the way that food causes disease in the body. And this was profound for me. These teachings were just profound. And what I found was that ultimately I was healing my relationship with food. I was coming into a deep, deep love for healing foods, and in the process healing my misguided and misaligned and negative views of food. Having been through eating disorders when I was younger, which I'll touch on maybe at another time, and went to work as a private chef in Austin and eventually in Seattle, mostly cooking for people who were healing from disease. I had a lady who was healing from heart disease. I had some diabetic clients. I had some women who were actually healing from eating disorders. And that was really, really quite meaningful work for me. But the calling was still nudging. It was still kind of moving me forward. And after that, I decided to enroll at Bastyr University. And my intention first was to study nutrition. And I had what I call a fateful experience when I was working at Whole Foods, Roosevelt Square, Seattle. This woman came in, and she looked so cool. And she had piercings up and down her ears, and on her vest was embroidered Bastyr University. And Bastyr was where I had chosen to enrolled to study to get my master's in nutrition. And I saw this gal and I struck up a conversation with her. I think I saw myself in her and asked her, what she did there. And she said that she studies naturopathic medicine. And I told her, oh, I'm enrolled and I'm going to start in the fall in the nutrition program. And she looks at me and she says, why? She said, why would you just study nutrition? She said, you should just go for it and study naturopathic medicine. And in that moment, she changed my life. She changed my whole destiny. I don't think she'll ever quite understand what that one little conversation had to do with just changing the whole course of my life. Because I had this belief that I wasn't good enough to be a doctor. I had the belief that I wasn't smart enough, that I wasn't the kind of person who could be a doctor. And I really began to challenge that belief, and I went home and I changed my major. And I luckily just had a few more courses to take in chemistry and physics, and I was able to still get in and still apply and was accepted into the School of Naturopathic Medicine, so that was a big win for me. And I think the point of this conversation is that I was trained in a very Western way at Bastyr University. I was trained in biochemistry, physiology, anatomy. All of the core medical sciences were there and laid the foundation for my education. And I struggled with these things. And I also sought out courses and electives in craniosacral therapy and flower essences, things to balance the more logical, kind of cerebral place that I was in with all those sciences and beautiful, beautiful studies in science. And it all came together quite nicely, as it always does. But I think the point, what I'm getting at here, is that after 3 years in clinical practice, 3 years having a pretty large patient base and managing medications and doing a lot of IV therapy and a lot of blood draws and a lot of B12 shots and just a lot of what felt like conventional medicine at times, the calling is still there. The calling is always there. The calling to do deeper work. And the realization as I'm working with people in my clinical practice that it's always deeper. There was always something deeper. Their physical complaints always had an emotional beginning. I sensed this and I knew this, and the people who were brave enough to open up to me about the things that happened to them in their lives, the sense was that the healing was so much deeper than giving someone a vitamin D supplement after analyzing their labs, or giving someone a B12 shot to increase their energy when their energy was tied to the heavy weight they're carrying, the heavy emotional weight. And this really affected me in so many different ways because I felt like I wasn't truly helping people. I feel like I was helping their body, maybe helping to put a Band-Aid over a big gaping wound that needed to be looked at. And I think that's where things started to shift for me, and I decided to step out of the spiritual closet, step out and really dive deep into the teachings of these people who are able to bridge the place where science and metaphysics meet. And that is my path right now, is that I've found my place. I found my place, and that place is teaching people, making a greater impact by reaching more people by means of online courses and Skype visits with people worldwide. And what a beautiful thing to do healing work with people on a mind, body, spirit approach, really. Talking about nutrition as the way to heal the body, to fine-tune the emotions, using herbs and homeopathy to help this process, but also diving into the world of emotions and helping people clear stagnant and stuck emotions in the body. And then on a spiritual level, helping people tap into their own spirituality, teaching techniques for accessing this unlimited source of energy that we all have access to. You can call it chi, prana, energy, this energy that we have, lifting your vibration, connecting with your guides, and then using that energy to heal others, to heal circumstances in your life, to send it to maybe your coworkers or meetings that you're having with individuals. But using these techniques and staying in the present moment to bring about true healing. And that's what the journey has been for me, is like coming full circle, really, and really allowing people and showing people that there's a way. There's like this beautiful way to heal your life. And that's your greatest gift to the world, is healing yourself, is working through these issues that maybe you've had since childhood, working through these habitual ways of dealing with people and dealing with life, and stepping into a life that is truly abundant and magical in so many ways. And it is my greatest gift and pleasure and honor to just finally step into my area of expertise after so much search, after so much searching. Keep going until you find what lights you up.